Good evening, Internet. Lovely to have you here. I'm James Martin, and tonight I'm going to be offering you a little bit of consumer advice. I know. Right, it's nearly Christmas, somehow, which means that you're either a parent wondering which guitar to buy their child, or you're a child wondering which guitar to ask Santa for. Now, there are a few misconceptions about this, and as a teacher over the years, I've caught those misconceptions. Now, what happens with a lot of small children is that their parents will buy them one of these things here. This is a nylon string guitar, and this is normally the case. This particular one is a 3/4 size, and there is nothing inherently wrong with this as an instrument. It's usually the cheapest, and it suits a more traditional teaching method. But if you're what this is a specialist instrument, and this often gets overlooked. A nylon string guitar is primarily designed to do this. If that's what your child wants to do, buy one of these, no question about it. But classical guitar, Spanish guitar, it's a little bit of a niche interest. So I don't necessarily recommend them for the parent whose child wants to be a rock star. This is probably going to be something they get rid of at the first opportunity, essentially. And as we all know, when you buy cheap, you buy twice. Now, another common misconception is when people buy one of these. Now, this is a steel-strung acoustic guitar. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. A lovely sounding instrument. The problem with this if you're a beginner is it's physically very, very demanding to play. You've got steel strings, you've got a high action, that's the distance between the string and the fretboard, so you're going to have to physically work very, very hard. And this is one of the reasons I would really not recommend these if you're a parent buying a child their first guitar. What I would recommend is one of these, an electric guitar. Maybe not specifically this one, this is a USA Fender and it's probably a little bit of an ask, but the misconception most parents have about an electric guitar is that, oh my god, it's an electric guitar, we associate it with massive walls of sound, and yeah, you can have all that, or you can turn it down, or indeed off, at which point you're left with this, which even if you were just playing your first chords a bit cack-handedly, it's still a fairly inoffensive volume level. And if you pair this with something like a headphone amplifier, or even just a pair of headphones for a little practice amp, particularly ones now that have auxiliary inputs or Bluetooth so you can connect up a phone, there's a good chance you will never need to see your child again until they want driving lessons. Because, simply put, you can make all the mistakes that you want to as a beginner, and you will want to make a lot of them, and you can do them effectively in private. And not just that, but an electric guitar will allow you to recreate all the sounds of your heroes, you know, whether you're into rock music, whether you're into metal, whether you're into blues, jazz, whatever, you're going to be able to get this out of a halfway decent electric guitar. Now, this particular one is a Fender. I would not recommend one of these for a beginner, because simply, not because there's anything wrong with it, it's lovely. But for the same reason I wouldn't recommend that a learner driver learns to drive in, well, let's say a Formula 1 car. You're not going to get the best out of it. This is the kind of thing that you aspire to after having played for a few years. What I would recommend is a cheaper model. And as you're going to see, cheap guitars today are not cheap guitars of the days of yore. The days of cheese wire strings, inch high actions, failure to hold tune for more than 30 seconds are thankfully behind us. perfectly serviceable instrument. It's going to do everything that you want. And this is a good example of a guitar in around about the £150 to £200 price bracket. It's obviously based on the Fender Strat design. It's got a very versatile pickup selection. If you're new to this, the pickup is the thing that makes it sound different, effectively. The pickup is the bit that does the sound. It picks up, as the name suggests, the vibration of the string, turns that into energy that's then fed to the amplifier. We'll miss out some of the technical stuff in between. The different places that you have the pickups will define the different tone that you get from the guitar. A Stratocaster style guitar like this will have a neck pickup, a middle pickup, and what's called a bridge pickup. And you'll hear that the neck pickup gives us a nice fluty kind of jazzy sounds. The middle pickup is a good all-rounder, and the bridge pickup gives a nice kind of rocky twang to it, even before we've added in any clever stuff with the amplifier. We'll get onto that in a minute. And you can also often find ways in between the pickups. And there's a whole raft of great sounds that you can get from one of these before you've added anything else into the mix. So if you're looking for specific brands, well, one thing I would say right now, and one thing I probably should have said at the start, the number one thing to do when you're looking to buy, certainly yourself a guitar, and ideally anybody else a guitar, is to go to a shop that sells guitars. Not Amazon, not eBay, an actual brick and mortar shop. Then you can try it. If you don't play the guitar yourself, you can have one of the guys who works there try it, show it to you. And they will be able to interpret what you want and point you in the direction of something. They're going to cost a little bit more than Amazon, but a little bit. And for that little bit, believe me, you're getting far, far more value. Regularly I will be encountering students who have bought a guitar off of Amazon, and it will have an action that you could park a bus underneath. It won't hold tune for more than about 10 seconds. And it's the kind of instrument that really will just make you want to pack up and weep. The tuning stability issues are a massive one, because there's nothing more demoralising to somebody who wants to learn the guitar than to have painstakingly put their fingers in the right place for a chord and for it to sound like, see what I mean? Horrible. So, tuning stability, very, very important. So, specific models that I would recommend. Crafter Cruiser, which is what this is, the Ibanez G10 series, and my own personal pick, I still swear by the Yamaha Pacifica 112, which was the first sort of decent cheap guitar when it came out in the mid-90s. I've got one myself, which lives in the car for teaching and as an able backup guitar for gigs. And it's not the cheapest. You're looking at around about £200, but it's the kind of guitar that will make you want to play it. You're going to get the best value from it. So there are three brands straight off the cuff. There's other ones. Dean as well makes some good stuff, and the Fender's Squier series is pretty good value, although you do pay a little bit extra for the name. Ditto with the Gibson's Epiphone brand line as well. Lovely stuff, but a little overpriced for what it is. But you know, for some people, the brand name, the aesthetics, if it makes you want to play it, you're going to get more value from it. So you're going to get that value and make up for having paid a little bit more. The second part of the equation is the amplifier. Now again, we are fortunate now to be in a position where there aren't really any diabolical bad amplifiers. There's ones that sound better than the others, and then a lot of that really is down to taste. The one that I'm using, I'm not going to recommend this one now because it's quite an expensive one for what it is. This is a Positive Grid Mini Spark that you're hearing here. And this has all sorts of lots of fancy things that you can Bluetooth through it and program sounds into it and have different levels of distortion. But basically you want an amp that's got a decent clean sound and a halfway decent distortion, which is this sort of sound. most of them these days will have some function where you can plug a phone into them and you can start to play backing tracks or anything through a phone onto that. Particular things to look out for, I would say the Boss Katana Mini, the Blackstar Fly series as well, and also the Marshall MG series. They've been around a while, but they still kick out a pretty good sound. Good value for money, and they're all solid state electronics, so they are basically bomb proof. They'll last forever. Okay, so when you come together, if again you're looking to buy your guitar and your amp together, most places will do some sort of deal for you. Most places will do a package deal, and that package deal should include a lead. It should include a Strat, because you're going to want to stand up with it at some point. It should include some spare plectrums. It should probably include another lead, actually, because normally the free leads are pretty cheap and nasty, so you can persuade them to give you a 2 leads rather than 1. You're probably in a good place. And what we covered there, Strat leads, plectrums. You could get them to try and give you a capo, which is one of these little gizmos that sits, you clip onto the top of the strings, and then that will adjust the pitch of the strings that you play. And for some songs it's a necessity, for others you can get around, but for some it's a very useful thing to have. And quite often they will throw in a tuition book. If you're very lucky, they might even throw in this tuition book. And overall your budget is going to be around about £200–250. Any significantly less than that and you're buying something that's a bit cheap and nasty and you're going to want to upgrade from and you're not really going to get the value from. Significantly more than that, you're probably buying a lot of stuff that you don't really need and you're not going to get the best out of. So you want to be in that sort of £200 area, that sort of sweet spot. That's going to get you the best bang for buck, really. So it's not the cheapest investment, but when you think about what it can give and the fact that for that one-time investment you then have your loved one, your child, off developing a skill instead of glued to a TV or glued to a screen, and then building from that the sort of the social connections, the psychological and confidence implications you can have from building a skill that is essentially inherently a social skill as well. You have to say that's pretty good value for money, and it's probably better value for money than a great many other things that cost £200. All those examples have completely gone out of my head right now. So I'll leave that with you as a little bit of a consumer advice, and I will finish off by playing this rather lovely crafter through my little practice amp. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. If you want to support the channel, please do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you've made it this far, drop me a comment as well if there's anything that you would like to ask, anything you think I've missed. And music shops. I've mentioned that you should go to an actual bricks and mortar store. Music retail is one of those areas where it's nowhere near as lucrative as people think it is. Having worked in it, I know. So we are kind of in hop to the big chains at the minute, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. All the guys that I've worked at the big chain stores know their stuff and are very pleasant. So PMT, Professional Music Technology, GAK, G-A-K, the Guitar and Amp Keyboard Centre in Brighton. And if you happen to be in my locale, in my manor, Loughborough, my hometown, we have the fantastic institute that is Just Music. And I'll pop a link to them and a phone number in the description below. And I should say, in the interest of full disclosure, although I'm not actually sponsored by them, I did used to work there many, many years ago, and I do have a great affection for the place. And it is very important, I think, to go and support these little stores, because they're the guys who are there when you've broken a string 5 minutes before you get the first ever gig, or your pedal's gone short, or you've broken a lead or something like that. So it's really, really vital to keep these guys in business. And it's so, so vital that if you're going to buy a guitar that's going to become a long-term companion, go and try it. Don't just look at a picture Don't just buy it because you've read a review in a magazine. Go and either play it yourself, or if you don't play guitar, get one of the guys in the shop to demonstrate it for you. Go and see the thing properly. Go and see it in the flesh. You're going to make such more of a connection than you would otherwise. Okay, I think I've said all I can on that subject. I'm going to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you again soon. All right, take care.